This view is incredible!
I froze when my ex told the judge I was unstable. He said it like a verdict. He thought I'd break in that courtroom. Instead, I pressed play, and his own voice became my defense. Found out. He put my name on his bar tab to impress clients, so I exposed his fake success. Before we continue, please subscribe to the channel and let us know where you're listening from in the comments. My name is Claire, I'm 27 years old, and this is what really happened. My phone chirped like a smoke alarm in a quiet apartment. Not one buzz, 3. Then a long vibration that wouldn't stop. I thought it was my group chat. My friends had been arguing about brunch spots again, but the screen lit up with my bank's logo, bright and clean. Fraud alert, $1,842.67. Merchant, Blackstone Rooftop Lounge, Chicago, IL. I stared until the screen dimmed. Then I tapped it awake and read it again. Same number, same place, same punch to the ribs. Blackstone Rooftop Lounge. The kind of bar where the music sounds like money, where the glasses clink louder than the laughs. And my name was attached to the tab. I wasn't there. I hadn't even been downtown this week. I'd been in my Lakeview apartment, finishing month-end reports. A Target bag sat by the couch, still tied up. So why was my account paying for somebody's Skyline night? I hit report as unauthorized. A chat window popped up, asking me to confirm it wasn't me. I confirmed it like my finger was trying to erase the whole evening. Then my phone rang. Unknown number. Chicago area code. Me. Hello? Agent. Hi, this is Marisol with First Harbor Bank. I'm calling about a suspicious charge. Me. It's not mine. Agent. Have you been to Blackstone Rooftop Lounge recently? Me. No. Agent. Do you recognize the name on the receipt? Name on the receipt. Oh, like there was a receipt with a name printed on it. Me. What name? Agent. Claire Whitman. My throat tightened, but my voice stayed steady. I'd learned to sound calm for a living. Me. That's me. Agent. The tab was opened under your name. The customer provided matching billing details. Matching billing details meant this wasn't random. This was someone with access, someone with confidence. There was only one person in my life who had all of that, without trying. Evan, my boyfriend. My live-in boyfriend, technically. The man who called me team when he wanted support. The man who said every month, "Babe, I'll send my half tonight." Tonight rarely came, but I kept telling myself it would. Agent, we can freeze your card right now and open a dispute. Me. Freeze it. She did it while we spoke, and I heard keys clicking on her end, fast and practiced. The sound made it real. Agent, one more question for the report. Do you have any authorized users on your account? I thought about the first month Evan moved in. He'd been between jobs then, building something. He asked to be an authorized user just for emergencies. He said it like he was asking to borrow a hoodie. I remembered the leasing office desk, the cheap pen, the page I signed without reading every line. And I remembered the stamp at the bottom. County Court Record Number 2025-CVI-11873, signed by Notary Public. Paper turns feelings into consequences. Me. No, I said. No authorized users. It was a lie. But it was the first lie I'd told in months that protected me. Agent. Okay, Yeah, do you feel safe at home? Me. Yes. Agent. We'll email the dispute paperwork shortly. When I hung up, my hands were steady. That scared me more than shaking would have. I opened my email. The message was already there. Bold subject line. Action required. Dispute documentation. A PDF attached. A case number. A timeline waiting for facts. I opened my bank account on my laptop, not the app. I wanted details. Every decimal. Every timestamp. The charge wasn't a loan. $223.15. $411.09. $97.40. All from Blackstone. All within the last 2 hours. My name, over and over. Like someone practicing it. I scrolled down and searched the word Blackstone. More hits appeared from last month. Smaller amounts. Easy to miss. Thursday nights. Always Thursday nights. My mind did what it always does. It built a pattern, like it was assembling furniture. Evan didn't just slip once. He'd made this a habit. I pulled up our shared calendar. There it was, sitting in his schedule like it belonged. Founder drinks. Blackstone, 8 p.m. Founder drinks. He'd never mentioned it to me. Tonight he told me he was grabbing 1 beer with Mark. Mark was a real person, sure, but Evan used names like props. They made his stories easier to sell. I walked to our little entryway shelf where we kept mail. Bills, coupons, a graduation card from my aunt. I never answered. On top sat Evan's newest business card. Matte black, raised lettering. Evan Mercer, managing partner. Managing partner of what? His headline changed every month like a mood ring. Now it was a title printed in ink. People believe ink. They believe confident fonts. Now they believe a man who pays for rounds without flinching. I opened my credit card portal and clicked statements. My ears picked up every tiny sound. Keyboard taps, the fridge motor, my own breathing. Sound is honest. Humans aren't. There it was again. Blackstone. A month of Thursdays. Like a ritual. I clicked into one older charge. It showed the last 4 digits of the card used. My card? Not a duplicate, not a mistake. And under card holder, it listed my name. Under authorized user, it was blank. He wasn't even pretending to be allowed. He was just comfortable. I texted my best friend Tessa because I needed one witness who loved me. Me. Are you awake? Tessa. Yes. Why? Me. Have you ever seen Evan pay for anything? Tessa. I've seen you pay. I've seen him request. That's it. A woman can carry a man for a season, but a man shouldn't climb using her back as a ladder. I opened LinkedIn. His headline had changed again. Founder, growth strategist, building the future. He collected titles like souvenirs, and I remembered how he corrected me at brunch last month. Me. Evan's doing a new project. Evan. Not a project, a venture. Evan. Say it like you mean it, babe. Everyone laughed like it was cute. I laughed too because women are trained to smooth things over. I went back to the calendar entry. Founder drinks. No invitees listed, just a location pin and a smug little reminder. I imagined him walking into Blackstone with that matte black card, ordering the expensive stuff because cheaper drinks look like doubt. And when the bartender asked for payment, I saw it clearly. Evan's easy smile. Evan saying my name like it belonged to him. My name had become his guarantee. So I started tracking. I opened a spreadsheet and labeled the columns. Date, time, amount, location, notes. Quotable thought, sharp and true. You can love someone and still audit them. I pulled up the address attached to the Blackstone transactions. It matched my billing address exactly. He hadn't even changed it. If he could open tabs under my name, what else could he open? Feelings make noise. Evidence makes movement. Tessa called. I answered on speaker while my laptop stayed open. Tessa. Claire, talk to me. Me. He used my card at a rooftop bar. Under my name. Tessa. Are you sure it was him? Me. Who else calls me wife in public? Tessa. Don't confront him tonight. Me. I'm not. I'm getting the paper first. Revenge done right doesn't need volume. It needs timing. I reread the fraud alert. Then I reread Evan's last text from earlier. Big meeting tonight. Don't wait up. I didn't respond. Instead, I clicked into the disputed transaction details. Merchant phone number listed. A tiny line of text that could change everything. Calling the bar felt like crossing into public. But my name was already there, floating around with the vodka and the pitch decks. So I called. The line rang twice. Music leaked through the receiver. Bass, laughter, glass clinks. Sound like a room full of people trying to be seen. Host, Blackstone Rooftop, how can I help you? Me. Hi. I'm calling about a tab opened under my name tonight. Host. What name? Me. Claire Whitman. Host. One moment. A pause, like the music got louder, then softer, like the phone moved. Manager. This is Dan. How can I help? Me. A tab was opened under my name. I wasn't there. Manager. We can't discuss guest details over the phone. Me. It's fraud. My bank is involved. Manager. Do you have a card on file with us? Me. Apparently, you think I do. He exhaled, like he was weighing risk. Manager. The gentleman who opened the tab said it was his partner's account. He said, you handle the finances. My skin went hot. Not rage hot. Humiliation hot. Me. He said what? Manager. He said, put it under my wife's account. She handles finances. Wife. We weren't married. We weren't engaged. We had a leased apartment and a shared couch. But in that room, with those clients, I was his wife. A badge. A reason the bartender didn't push back. Me. I need a copy of the receipt. Manager. You'll need to come in with ID. Me. I will. Manager. We'll have it ready at the front. I ended the call and set my phone down carefully, like it could crack if I dropped it. My phone buzzed again. A text from Evan. Evan. Running late. Big meeting. Don't wait up. I stared at the heart emoji until it looked childish. Then I reopened the transaction one more time. There was a new line added beneath the total. Tip added, $300. He wasn't just spending. He was tipping with my money, buying admiration with my name. I stood in the center of my living room and listened. The building's pipes clicked. A car alarm chirped outside. Somebody upstairs dragged a chair across the floor. Normal sounds, a normal night. Except my life had shifted a few inches off center. My phone rang again. First, Harbor Bank. Me. Hello? Agent. Hi, Claire. It's Marisol again. We pulled the merchant packet. Me. Okay? Agent. I need to confirm something for your dispute. The tab was opened under your name verbally, not by signature. Me. What does that mean? Agent. It means the card was present, but the guest insisted the account holder was you. Me. So he used my card. Agent. Yes. And ma'am, I need to tell you something. I gripped the edge of the counter. Agent. Ma'am, this isn't the first charge. Ma'am? This isn't the first charge. I didn't answer right away. I just breathed through my nose, slow and measured, like I was trying to smell the lie before I spoke. Marisol kept her voice gentle. I'm going to email you the merchant packet. It will show the timestamps and the terminal used. You can add it to your dispute. Send it, I said. My tone sounded like Office Claire, not Girlfriend Claire. A notification landed in my inbox before the call even ended. The PDF was heavier than it looked. 5 pages, neat tables, itemized proof. The kind of proof that doesn't care if you cry. When I opened it, the first thing I saw wasn't the total. It was the item list. 4 top-shelf old fashions, 2 mezcal cocktails with smoked rosemary, a charcuterie board, oysters, steak tartare. He'd ordered like he was hosting a magazine shoot, like he lived inside a penthouse ad. And there, on the last page, was the signature line. Not my signature. Just a scribble and the printed words, "Wife account, okayed by guest." He didn't just use my card. He branded it. I stood in my hallway with my keys in my hand, staring at that line until my eyes started to burn. The building smelled like someone's laundry and old carpet. Normal, boring smells. The kind that say, "You're safe." The kind that made what he did feel even uglier. I changed into jeans and a coat. Not because it was freezing. Chicago in late spring is never sure of itself. But because I needed armor. I grabbed my wallet, my ID, and Evan's newest business card from the entry shelf. Matte black, raised lettering. Evan Mercer, managing partner. Managing partner of what? His headline changed every month like a mood ring. Now it was a title printed in ink. Quotable line, cold and clean. A title is easy when someone else pays for the proof. In the bathroom, I washed my hands twice. Lavender soap, warm water. I watched the foam slide down the drain like I could rinse away the fact that he'd been calling me wife in rooms I wasn't even in. I checked the time. 10:41 p.m. He was still out there somewhere, breathing air that smelled like money and acting like my name was an accessory. Outside, the air was damp and city sweet, like rain had been thinking about happening all day. I ordered an Uber. The driver's car was clean and smelled like lemon wipes and faint pine, like he'd just wiped down the seats to erase the last rider. Driver: "Downtown?" Me: "Yeah." "Oh, River North." Driver: "You meeting friends?" Me: "Something like that." Driver: "You don't sound excited." Me: "I'm working." He chuckled like that explained everything. As we moved south, neon signs and streetlights smeared across the windows. The closer we got to the loop, the more the city smelled like restaurants. Garlic, fried oil, sweet cocktails. Every scent felt like a reminder that people were out having fun while my life was being played with. My phone buzzed again. Not Evan. A new bank email. Provisional credit pending investigation. A clean phrase for a messy moment. I opened my notes app and typed, just to keep myself from texting him something I'd regret. Do not confront. Collect everything. Lock accounts. Decide the day he learns. Reflective line, quiet and sharp. Anger is loud. Control is louder. When we pulled up to Blackstone Rooftop Lounge, the entrance was lit like a movie premiere. Velvet rope. Doorman. People stepping out of ride shares in heels that clicked like punctuation. The smell hit me before I even stepped inside. Perfume layered over bourbon. Citrus peel. Leather warmed by bodies. A faint thread of smoke clinging to someone's jacket like a memory. It was the scent of trying to be someone. The host stand was glossy black. The host's lipstick was the exact shade of a fresh cherry. She looked me up and down, Target tote, simple coat, no glitter, and her smile tightened. Host: "Welcome to Blackstone. Reservation?" Me: "No, I'm here about a tab opened under my name." Host: "Like a lost card?" Me. No. Like fraud. Host. Okay. One moment. She typed something. Long nails tapping. And the smell of her perfume drifted toward me. Sweet and expensive. It made my stomach turn because I could imagine Evan liking it. Evan always liked things that looked high-end. A manager appeared. Dan. The same voice from the phone. He wore a black button-down and a watch that probably cost more than my rent. Dan. Claire? Me. Yes. Dan. Come with me. He led me through the main room. Everything felt curated. Laughs controlled, lights dim enough to flatter, bottles lined up like trophies. The air tasted faintly sweet from spilled liquor and citrus mist. I passed a table where someone had a plate of fries dusted with truffle salt. The aroma followed me, rich and buttery. It made my mouth water, and my throat tighten at the same time. Dan stopped near a side station and pulled a folder from under the counter, eyeing Dan. This is what we have. Me. Thank you. The receipt smelled like warm printer ink and someone else's drink. I'd never noticed receipt smell before. Now it felt like evidence had its own perfume. I read every line. Items, times, terminal number. Then I saw it. Opened by Evan M. I didn't blink. I didn't flinch. I just let it settle like sand in a clear glass. Under notes, it said, guest stated spouse handles account. Celebrating client close. Me. Did he show you anything to prove I'm his wife? Dan's expression tightened. No ring. He did show a business card. He said he was a managing partner and that you were supportive. Me. Supportive. Dan. Those were his words? Supportive. Like I was a background character in his story. Like I existed to steady him, not to live my own life. Amy. Was he alone? Dan. He had guests. Corporate type. 4 men, 1 woman. They wanted the skyline rail. Me. Did they seem like friends? Dan. No. They seemed like business. Business. That word made it worse. If it was friends, it would be embarrassing. If it was business, it was calculated. Me. Do you remember anything else he said? Dan. He asked us to keep the tab open. He said, we're entertaining. And then he joked that you'd be proud of him. Proud. That word landed light, but it bruised deep. I imagined him smiling as he said it, like he was wearing me as a badge, like my approval was a prop he could pull out when needed. Me. Did he ever mention my job? Dan? He said you were in finance. He said you keep things tight. I felt my face warm, not tears. Heat. Humiliation with a spine. He made me sound like his accountant, his safety net, his permission slip. Dan watched me for a beat, then shifted his weight. Dan, I'm going to be direct. He wasn't shy about your name. Me. What do you mean? Dan. He said it like it was impressive, like it helped his story. My name was being used as a seasoning. Me. Is he still here? Dan. No. They closed out about 20 minutes ago. Me. Did he pay with a card under his name at all? Dan hesitated. He tried at first. It declined. Then he laughed and said, no worries. My wife's got it. My stomach dropped, slow. He'd attempted to pay himself. It failed. Then he performed. Me. Print everything. Dan. I can print what's standard. Me. Print it. While he stepped away, I stayed near the side station and took in the room with new eyes. Every person here smelled like effort. Cologne that tried to sound confident. Perfume that tried to sound loved. Liquor that tried to sound successful. A couple nearby leaned close, sharing a dessert spoon. The whipped cream smelled sweet, vanilla, and toasted sugar. I wondered briefly if Evan had ever looked at me like that in public. Then I remembered him scanning the room at parties, always watching who mattered. Dan returned with a stapled stack. Itemized receipt, notes, time logs. Dan. For what it's worth. I'm sorry. Me. Are you? Dan. I've seen this before. Me. People stealing? Dan. People performing. Performing. That fit Evan perfectly. Before I left, I pointed to the header with my name. Me. If he comes back, don't let him put anything under my name again. Dan. We can flag it. Me. Flag it. I slipped the papers into my bag. The staple scratched my finger as it caught on the lining. A tiny sting. A tiny reminder that the whole thing was real. Then I walked toward the elevator that led up to the rooftop, not for drama, for confirmation. In the elevator mirror, I saw my own eyes. Clear, focused, no mascara running, no shaking hands, the kind of face you can't manipulate easily. The doors opened, and fresh night air rolled in, but it carried the rooftop's signature scent. Juniper, charcoal from heat lamps, and the sharp sweetness of someone's gin cocktail. The wind brought in another smell too, the river, metallic and alive. The city spread out like it was showing off. Lights stitched along the water. Cars like little beads. The railing was cold under my palm. My name had been up here. Spoken up here. Used up here. I walked to the bar and ordered sparkling water with lime. The lime smelled bright and clean, almost innocent. I liked that. Innocence that wasn't stupid. Then I leaned in. Me. Can I ask you about a tab from earlier? Claire Whitman, bartender. You the account holder? Me. Yes. He paused, eyes moving over my face like he was looking for a story. Then he gave a small nod. Bartender. That guy was confident. Me. What did he say? Bartender. He said, my wife's got it. She's the responsible one. Like it was a compliment. Me. Did he say that in front of them? Bartender. Yeah. He wanted them to hear it. That was the humiliation, not the money. The fact he made my stability sound like his privilege. Amy, how did they react? Bartender. They laughed. One of the guys said, must be nice. Your husband just grinned. I swallowed hard. The carbonation bit my tongue. Me. Did he mention what he does? Bartender. He said he was closing a seed round. He said money wasn't a concern. He ordered like he was celebrating a win. Me. Did he look like a man with money? Bartender. He looked like a man who wanted to. The bartender wiped the bar with a rag that smelled like sanitizer and lemon, clean chemicals slicing through the liquor haze, reality cutting through performance. Me. Did he ever seem worried? Bartender. Only once. When his card didn't go through, then he recovered fast. Real fast. Recovered fast. Like he'd practiced. Me. Thanks. Bartender. Yeah. Sorry about that. I stepped away and walked along the rail where Dan said they'd sat. The skyline view was perfect. The kind of view people pay for because it makes them feel chosen. I imagined Evan standing here, shoulder to shoulder with strangers, talking about capital while my name sat on the bill. A reflective line rose up, simple and brutal. He wasn't building a future. He was renting one. I left the rooftop without looking back. Outside, the city air smelled honest, exhaust, wet pavement, and the faint sourness of spilled beer on the sidewalk. My Uber picked me up. Halfway home, Evan texted. Evan. Heading home. Want me to grab you dessert? Dessert? Like sugar could cover the stink of theft. Then an email from the bank came through with an attachment labeled Merchant Signature Slip. I opened it in the back seat, and my scalp prickled. Under customer name, printed in block letters, it said, Claire Whitman, wife. And underneath, in Evan's handwriting, like a little joke he expected strangers to love, "Charge it. She'll be proud. Charge it. She'll be proud." The Uber's interior light flicked on as we stopped at a red light. For a second, the screen illuminated my face in the dark window. I looked calm. That was the strangest part. Not devastated. Not hysterical. Just rearranged. The driver glanced at me in the rearview mirror. Driver: "Everything good back there?" Me: "Yeah." Driver: "You look like you just read something expensive." Me: "I did." He laughed softly and turned the radio up. Some low R&B track hummed through the speakers. Smooth, controlled, like it didn't want to disturb anyone. I stared at Evan's handwriting again. "Charge it. She'll be proud." He didn't even hide behind subtlety. He turned me into a punchline with a platinum card. I screenshotted everything. The receipt, the note, the timestamps. I forwarded the entire merchant packet to a new folder in my email and labeled it Documentation. Not Evan, not fraud, documentation. Because once you name something correctly, it stops feeling emotional and starts feeling strategic. When I got home, the apartment smelled like the vanilla candle I'd left burning earlier. Warm, safe, familiar. I blew it out. The air shifted immediately, the sweetness replaced by the faint scent of smoke. I didn't turn on the overhead lights. I left the apartment dim, lit only by the kitchen pendant and the city glow through the windows. It felt less like a home and more like a stage set, waiting for the lead actor to return. I sat at the kitchen island and opened LinkedIn again. Evan's latest post was from earlier that evening. Big conversations happening tonight. And grateful for aligned minds and serious capital. #FounderLife, #BuildingLegacy. 47 likes, 3 comments. One read, "Proud of you, man. Keep climbing." Climbing? On what? I clicked into his experience section. Managing partner, Mercer Growth Labs. No website link, no verified business page. Just polished language and confidence. Flashback hit me sharp and specific. 3 weeks ago, Sunday brunch at a place in Wicker Park that charged $12 for orange juice. Tessa had asked him what Mercer Growth Labs actually did. Tessa: "So what's the product?" Evan smiled like she'd asked something adorable. "Evan, we're pre-product. We're building infrastructure first." Tessa: "Infrastructure for what?" Evan: "You'll see." He'd squeezed my knee under the table like we shared a secret. Later in the car, I asked him gently, like me, "Babe, what exactly are you pitching?" Evan: "Claire, you don't understand startup language." Me: "Try me." Evan: "It's not about the product yet. It's about vision." Vision. Men love that word when there's no evidence. Another flashback layered itself over the first. Apartment party 2 months ago. My friend Alina had just passed her CPA exam. We were celebrating. Evan stood near the balcony, holding court. Evan: "Claire's great with numbers. That's why I let her handle our financials." Friend: "Smart move." Evan: "Every visionary needs a numbers girl." Numbers girl? Like I was a calculator with hair. At the time, I smiled, because it sounded like praise, because women are trained to decode condescension as affection. Back in my kitchen, I opened our joint budgeting app, the one I'd insisted on when he moved in. There it was again. Thursday nights. Every Thursday, around 8:15 p.m., there was a debit from my account and a vague Venmo from him, days later labeled groceries or utilities. Never labeled rooftop, never labeled clients. He wasn't just stealing money. He was laundering narrative, reflective line, heavy and clear. He didn't need wealth. He needed witnesses. I heard his key in the lock at 11:37 p.m. The sound scraped across my nerves like sandpaper. He walked in smelling like exactly what I expected. Bourbon, citrus, and expensive cologne that wasn't his usual brand. There was a faint sweetness to it. Maybe someone else's perfume clinging to his jacket. Evan. "Hey, babe." He sounded cheerful. Charged up. Like he'd won something. He leaned down to kiss my head. I tilted slightly, just enough that his lips brushed my hair instead of my skin. "Evan, you still up?" Me. "Yeah?" He tossed his keys into the bowl by the door. They clinked against mine. The sound felt territorial. "Evan, huge night." Me. "Oh?" Evan. "Yeah. Closed something big." Closed something big. I watched him move around the kitchen, grabbing a glass, filling it with water. His movements were confident, relaxed. He didn't look like a man who'd been declined. Me. "Where were you again?" Evan. "Blackstone. I told you." Me. "Right." He took a long drink and exhaled like he'd just stepped off a stage. Evan. "The skyline was insane tonight. You would have loved it. Would have loved it." The audacity of that phrasing almost made me laugh. Me. "Did you pay?" Evan paused for half a second. Barely noticeable, but I saw it. Evan. "Yeah, of course." Me. "With what?" Evan. "My card." There it was. Smooth, immediate, unflinching. I nodded slowly. Me. "Did it go through?" Evan frowned slightly. "Why wouldn't it?" "Because it didn't. Because you laughed and said your wife would handle it. Because you turned my name into collateral. I didn't push." "Not yet." Me. "Just asking." Evan. "Claire?" His tone shifted, mildly irritated. "Do you not trust me?" Classic pivot. Not what did you see? Not why are you asking? But do you not trust me? Trust is often weaponized by the person who broke it. Me. "I'm just curious." Evan. "Well, don't be. I've got it handled." Handled? I watched him loosen his tie, unbutton the top of his shirt. He looked good. That was the frustrating part. Polished. Charismatic. The kind of man investors would believe for an hour. But I'd seen the decline slip. I'd seen the wife account line. Evan moved closer, resting his hands on the counter across from me. Evan, you know why tonight mattered? Me. Why? Evan. Perception. Once they see momentum, they commit. Perception. He said it like it was currency. Me. And what did they see? Evan smiled. Confidence. No. They saw my credit limit. He leaned in like he was about to share something intimate. Evan. They respect that I've built stability at home too. A strong partner. That signals discipline. Discipline. He'd reframed my financial stability as proof of his leadership. Quotable line, bitter and precise. Some men don't want a partner. They want a portfolio. Me. What did you tell them about me? Evan. Just that you're solid, and that you keep things tight. Me. Did you call me your wife? He hesitated longer this time. Evan. It's just easier in those rooms. Me. Easier? Evan. Yeah. Sounds more stable. Investors like stability. He said it casually, like he'd borrowed my jacket without asking. Me. We're not married. Evan shrugged. It's not that deep. Not that deep. My name on a $1,000 tab wasn't deep. Me. Did your card decline? Evan's jaw tightened. What are you getting at? I stood up slowly. My chair legs scraped softly against the hardwood. Me. Did. Your. Card. Decline. Evan. It glitched. It's a daily limit thing. Me. And then? Evan. And then I handled it. Handled it. by handling me. I stepped closer, close enough to smell the bourbon on his breath. Me. You used my card. Evan blinked once. What? Me. You used my card. I under my name. Evan. Claire? Me. And you wrote, charge it? She'll be proud. Silence stretched between us. He hadn't expected that. Evan. You called the bar? Me. They called me first. Fraud alert. His face changed then. Not guilt. Calculation. Evan. I was going to tell you. Me. When? Evan. Tomorrow. Me. After you Venmo'd me groceries? He exhaled sharply. Evan. You're overreacting. Me. Am I? Evan. It's one tab. Me. It's not the first charge. That landed. He went still. Me. Thursday nights. For months. Evan. It's networking. Me. It's my money. He ran a hand through his hair, pacing slightly. Evan. You know how this works? You invest up front. Me. I didn't agree to invest. Evan. You believe in me. Me. Belief isn't a blank check. Reflective line, hung sharp as glass. Love without boundaries becomes funding. He stopped pacing and looked at me like I was the one failing him. Evan, this is temporary. Me, so is my patience. He laughed once, disbelieving. Evan, you're going to tank my momentum over a few $1,000s? Me, you tanked it when you couldn't pay your own bill. His eyes flashed. Evan, I'm building something bigger than this. Me, then build it with your own name. We stood there, inches apart, breathing the same air but living in different realities. He saw ambition. I saw dependency disguised as vision. Evan, you're supposed to be on my side. Me, I am. Mine. That hit harder than yelling ever could. He stared at me like he was seeing a different woman. Maybe he was. Maybe the version of me who funded illusions quietly had expired. Aye, Evan. What do you want? Me. The truth. Evan. Fine. Yes. My card declined. Me. Why? Evan. Because cash flow is tight. Me. Because there is no cash flow. He didn't answer. He didn't need to. Quotable line, calm and lethal. You can't pitch abundance while borrowing survival. Evan finally sat down, rubbing his face. Evan, it's temporary. Once the seed round closes... Me. Does it exist? Evan. Of course it does. Me. Show me. He didn't move. And that was the first crack. Not in his story. In my admiration. He didn't move. He just sat there at the kitchen island, elbows on the counter, fingers pressed into his temples like pressure could manufacture proof. Show you what? He asked finally. The seed round, I said. The term sheet. The wire confirmation. Anything. Silence again. Heavy. Not confused. Cornered. The fridge kicked on behind me. A low mechanical hum filled the gap between us. It sounded steady. Reliable. Unlike him. Evan leaned back in his chair. It's not finalized yet, he said. You don't show paperwork before it's locked. So it's not secured? It's verbal. Verbal. Like wife? Like charge it? Like she'll be proud. Words floating around rooms without signatures attached. I walked past him into our bedroom. The carpet felt soft under my bare feet. No, but I noticed something else. The indentation near his side of the bed where he'd been sleeping heavier lately. Stress, he'd said. I opened my closet and pulled out the small fireproof lockbox where I kept important documents. Passport, social security card, lease agreement, copies of tax returns, paper, evidence, reality. Touch is clarifying. I ran my fingers over the lease agreement we'd signed together when he moved in. The paper was thick, official, structured. It carried weight in your hands. At the bottom was that same line I'd remembered earlier. County Court Record Number 2-025-CV-11873, signed by Notary Public. When he signed it, he'd squeezed my hand after. "Team," he'd said. I locked the box again and walked back into the kitchen. Evan was scrolling his phone now, fast, avoidant. "I need access to everything," I said. He didn't look up. "Everything what?" "Your business accounts, your pitch deck, investor communications." He finally met my eyes. "You don't trust me." Trust again. That word he liked to hide behind. "I trust documents," I said evenly. He scoffed. "You're acting like I committed a crime." "You used my name and my money without permission in a business setting," I replied. "That's not a misunderstanding." He stood abruptly, chair legs scraping. "I was going to pay you back." "With what?" "Future revenue." I blinked slowly. "You can't Venmo me from imagination." That line hung there between us, clean and cold. He walked to the sink and turned on the faucet, splashing water on his face. Droplets hit the stainless steel basin in sharp taps. "You're being dramatic," he muttered. "No," I said. "I'm being awake." That's when something shifted in him. The defensiveness softened into something else. Resentment. "You think you're better than me," he said quietly. This wasn't about money anymore. It was about hierarchy. "I think I pay my bills," I answered. He let out a sharp breath. "You've always held that over me." "I've never mentioned it." "You didn't have to." There it was. The ego fracture. He didn't hate that I paid more. He hated that I didn't need him to. Reflective line, steady and true. Some men don't fear failure. They fear comparison. He grabbed his jacket from the back of the chair. "Where are you going?" I asked. "For air. It's midnight." "So?" He paused at the door. "You're about to blow up something that could change both our lives." "No," I said softly. "You already did." He left without slamming the door. That almost made it worse. The apartment felt larger without him, quieter, like the walls had exhaled. I sat back down at the island and reopened my laptop. Step 1, secure my finances. I logged into my bank portal and removed his authorized access from every linked account. It took 6 clicks, 6 quiet, administrative clicks. Confirm removal? Yes. Send notification to user? Yes. Let him learn through email. Next, I transferred most of my savings into a new high-yield account under a different institution. My name only. The confirmation screen glowed pale blue. Transfer successful. The word successful felt good. Then I opened our budgeting app and exported the last 6 months of transactions. CSV file, clean data, no emotions attached. I sorted by merchant. Blackstone appeared 11 times, 11 Thursdays, 11 performances. I added a new column in the spreadsheet. Purpose, investor entertainment, unverified. I wasn't accusing, I was documenting. I opened LinkedIn again and looked deeper. Under his post about aligned minds, I clicked one of the commenters, venture associate at a mid-sized Chicago firm. I clicked into their website, real, structured, staff page with credentials and degrees. Evan wasn't listed anywhere, not as a founder, not as a partner, not as an advisor. Interesting. I searched Illinois business registrations through the Secretary of State portal, Mercer Growth Labs. No active LLC under that exact name. There was a Mercer Consulting Group. Different address, different owner. He didn't even own the name he printed. The glow from the screen made my eyes ache, but I kept going. He'd built a persona, but it wasn't anchored to paperwork. And in America, paperwork wins. My phone buzzed. Evan, you seriously removed me from the accounts? I didn't respond. Evan, that was reckless. Reckless. He had used my card in a room full of investors and called me his wife, and I was reckless. Another text came through. Evan, we're supposed to be building together. Building what? I typed, then erased, then typed again. Me. Send me the pitch deck. 3 dots appeared. Disappeared. Appeared again. Evan, why? Me. Because if I'm funding it, I deserve to see it. No response. Instead, an email notification popped up. Subject, Seed Deck V3, internal. He'd sent it. I opened it immediately. The first slide was sleek. Black background, bold white text. Mercer Growth Labs, disrupting access. Access to what? Slide 2. Problem statement. Vague language. Broad claims. Data citations. Slide 3. Market opportunity. Stock photos. Generic numbers pulled from public reports. Slide 4. Revenue model. Under that, a single line. Initial capital secured via private backing. Private backing. That was me. He'd labeled me capital. My chest tightened, but not with tears. With clarity. He hadn't seen me as a partner. He'd seen me as proof of stability. Proof sells. I scrolled further. Team slide. His name, headshot, managing partner. Underneath, a blank space labeled Finance Advisor, TBA, TBA. To be announced, that's what I was. Uncredited labor, uncredited money. Quotable line, precise and final. If you're invisible in the deck, you're disposable in the deal. I closed the presentation and leaned back in my chair. This wasn't a messy boyfriend problem anymore. This was misrepresentation. If he was telling investors he had secured capital, and that capital was my personal funds used without consent, that crossed from romantic betrayal into financial fraud territory. And I work in finance. I understand consequences. My phone rang again. It was Tessa. I answered. Tessa, did you confront him? Me. Yes. Tessa, did he deny it? Me. He reframed it. Tessa, of course he did. Me. He called me private backing. Tessa, what? Me. In his pitch deck. Tessa, Claire. Me. He's pitching himself as self-funded. Silence on the line? Tessa, what are you going to do? I looked around my apartment, the couch we picked together, the framed graduation photo from Northwestern, the bookshelf I assembled myself because he wasn't good with tools. I thought about the rooftop, the bourbon, the line about being proud. Not that I'm going to let him keep performing, I said slowly. Tessa, and I'm going to document everything. Claire, I'm not screaming. I'm not breaking plates. I'm building a case. There was a pause. Then Tessa said quietly, you sound different. I am. Because something fundamental had cracked. Not just trust. Admiration. And once admiration dies, illusion follows. The front door opened again at 1:18 a.m. Evan stepped back inside, colder now. Wind had caught in his hair. His jaw was tight. You locked me out of the joint account, he said. Yes. That was petty. No. It was preventative. He stared at me like he was recalculating. You're going to regret this, he said. I met his gaze without blinking. No, I replied. You are. He laughed once, but it didn't sound confident anymore. We'll see. Yes? We would. And I was already planning the timeline. We'll see. He said it, like a threat. I heard it like a countdown. The next morning, the apartment felt different. Not broken, just divided. His side of the bed was unmade. My side was tight, flat, controlled. The coffee machine hissed as it brewed. The smell was strong and bitter. I let it fill the kitchen without softening it with cream. Evan came out of the bedroom already on his phone. Yes, Thursday works, he said into the receiver. Blackstone again. Same table if possible. Blackstone. Bold. He caught my eyes for a second and didn't flinch. He ended the call. We have another investor dinner this week, he said, like it was normal conversation. We? I asked. He ignored that. It's important, he continued. This one could actually close. Could? I repeated. He grabbed a mug and poured coffee like nothing in his world had cracked. You don't understand how this works, he said calmly. Momentum compounds. So does debt, I replied. He smirked. I'll cover it this time. With what? I asked again. He didn't answer. Instead, he shifted tactics. You embarrassed me last night. I looked up slowly. How? Calling the bar, freezing the account, making me look unstable. You looked unstable when your card declined. His jaw tightened. You could have handled that privately. I did. He leaned on the counter, lowering his voice. You know perception matters. If word gets out that I can't manage basic expenses, then manage them. Silence. Then something subtle shifted. His eyes sharpened. You don't get it, he said. These guys don't invest in broke founders. Then maybe don't pretend to be liquid. He stared at me. You think you're morally superior because you have a salary. No, I said. I think I'm solvent. He scoffed. You act like you've never needed help. I've never used someone's identity to fake success. That one landed. He straightened. Fine, he said. If it bothers you that much, I won't use your card. Won't use your card. Not sorry. Not wrong. Just inconvenienced. I nodded. Good. But I wasn't done. Because something clicked when he mentioned Thursday. Another investor dinner. Another performance. Another stage. I went to work that morning like nothing was wrong. The L train rattled beneath me. The air inside smelled like metal and perfume, and someone's breakfast sandwich wrapped in foil. Normal life. At the office, I kept my tone steady in meetings. I approved expense reports. I sent 2 compliance reminders. I analyzed quarterly forecasts, but between spreadsheets, I ran quiet checks. I searched his LinkedIn connections again. I found the woman listed as the venture associate who commented on his post. Her firm had an upcoming public networking mixer. Location? The Langham Hotel Ballroom. Date? This Friday. Guest list. Founders and investors. He hadn't mentioned that. Interesting. At lunch, I stepped outside with my phone. I called the Illinois Secretary of State's office. Business Services Division, the woman answered. Hi, I said evenly. I'm verifying the registration status of an LLC. Name? Mercer Growth Labs, typing on her end. No active entity under that exact name, she replied. Any similar registrations? There's a Mercer Growth Consulting registered in 2019. Different owner. Thank you. Paper beats projection. I ended the call and looked up at the Chicago skyline. Glass towers reflecting sun. Clean lines. Hard edges. Men like Evan love rooms like that. Rooms where perception fills in the gaps. Back at my desk, I opened the pitch deck again. Slide 4. Initial capital secured via private backing. I zoomed in on the footer. No disclaimers. No qualifiers. Just implied liquidity. I forwarded the deck to myself under a new subject line. Evidence, false capital representation. Not dramatic. Accurate. That evening, when I got home, Evan was dressed sharper than usual. Navy blazer, crisp white shirt, watch polished. Dinner? I asked. Investor follow-up, he replied. Where? Langham. There it was. I kept my face neutral. Big one? Potentially. He adjusted his cufflinks in the hallway mirror. You should come sometime, he added casually. They'd like you. Like me, because I'd validate him. Maybe, I said. He stepped closer. You could help. Help how? You're good with numbers. If you explained projections to them, it would sound more grounded. Grounded. He wanted my credibility in the room now. You want me there? I asked calmly. Yes. Will you introduce me as your girlfriend? He paused. Claire? Or your wife? His mouth tightened. It's just easier. Easier for you. He grabbed his coat. We'll talk later. He left. The door clicked shut. I stood there for a moment, then opened my laptop again. I pulled up the Langham event registration page. General admission, $125. I registered. Name, Claire Whitman. Occupation, financial analyst. Company, my actual employer. Payment confirmation hit my inbox seconds later. I wasn't going as his partner. I was going as myself. Reflective line, steady and rising. If he wanted a stage, I'd bring lighting. Thursday came fast. All day, he acted normal. Calm, confident. He even transferred me $400 labeled Blackstone reimbursement. $400. The last tab was nearly $2,000. He thought partial payment would quiet me. It didn't. At 7:42 p.m., he left for Blackstone again. At 7:50, I logged into my bank portal. I didn't freeze anything this time. I watched. 8:13 p.m. Pending charge, $312. Blackstone Rooftop Lounge. He was trying to keep it smaller. Smart. 8:27 p.m., $147.50. He was pacing the damage. I screenshotted everything. Then I opened my email and drafted something. Jet 2, Venture Associates Public Firm email. Subject, clarification regarding private backing claims. I didn't send it. Not yet. Timing matters. You don't detonate in the hallway, you detonate in the ballroom. Friday night arrived polished and sharp. The Langham lobby smelled like white lilies and expensive air conditioning, cold marble under my heels, soft carpet muffling footsteps. I wore a fitted black dress. Nothing flashy, just clean lines. Evan spotted me before I reached the ballroom entrance. His eyes widened slightly. What are you doing here? He asked quietly. I registered. You didn't tell me. You didn't invite me. His jaw flexed. This is business. Yes, I agreed. Exactly. He leaned closer. Don't make this weird. I won't. Inside, the ballroom buzzed, soft jazz in the background, conversations layered like static. All men in suits, women in tailored dresses, name badges catching the light. The air smelled like citrus and ambition. Evan placed a hand lightly at my back. Possessive, performative. This is Claire, he said to a group near the bar. She's been instrumental. Instrumental. Not partner, not equal. Instrumental. One of the investors smiled politely. Investor. In what capacity? Evan opened his mouth. I answered first. Financial risk management, I said calmly. Specifically, monitoring unsecured exposure. The investor's eyebrow lifted slightly. Unsecured exposure? He repeated. Yes, I replied. For example, ensuring that personal funds aren't misrepresented as institutional backing. Evan's hand stiffened against my back. The investor looked between us. Interesting, he said. I smiled gently. It's a passion of mine. Evan leaned closer to my ear. Not here, he muttered. But here was exactly where it needed to happen. Not loud, not dramatic, precise. The night was just beginning, and I had brought documentation. Not here, he muttered, but we were already here. The investor, tall, mid-40s, silver watch, controlled posture, tilted his head slightly. Financial risk management, he repeated. That's relevant. It usually is, I said calmly. Evan forced a smile. She's joking, he said lightly. Claire has a dry sense of humor. I don't, I replied. I work in compliance. That word does something in rooms like this. Compliance. It slows breathing. It sharpens attention. The investor extended his hand to me. Daniel Foster, he said, associate partner. Claire Whitman, I replied, shaking it firmly. His grip was steady. Evaluating. And you're involved with Mercer Growth Labs? Daniel asked. I'm adjacent, I said. Evan cut in quickly. She's supportive. There it was again. Supportive. I smiled slightly. I prefer documented, I said. Daniel's eyes flickered with interest. The jazz music shifted tempo in the background. Soft saxophone, polished notes. The air conditioning hummed overhead, cool against my shoulders. Evan's hand dropped from my back. I need to grab a drink, he said tightly. Daniel, we'll circle back. He stepped away, jaw tight. Daniel didn't follow. Instead, he looked at me carefully. Are you officially part of the company? He asked. No. Equity? No. Capital contributor? I held his gaze. No formal agreement. That landed. Daniel didn't react outwardly, but something in his posture changed. Less casual. More analytical. Interesting? He said quietly. Across the room, Evan laughed too loudly at something someone said. I watched him. Daniel followed my line of sight. He presents well, Daniel noted. Yes, I said. Nah, he does. Daniel studied me for another beat. If you ever want to discuss governance structures, he said, I'm always interested in clean frameworks. Clean frameworks? Another way of saying, this might not be clean. I appreciate that, I replied. He handed me his card. Real cardstock. Embossed lettering. Verified firm name. Not matte black fantasy. As Daniel stepped away, I felt the shift begin. Not explosive. Subtle. Like air pressure changing before a storm. Evan returned with 2 drinks. I got you sparkling water, he said, voice controlled. Thank you. He leaned closer, smile fixed. What are you doing? He whispered, observing. You're undermining me. No, I replied softly. I'm clarifying. His jaw tightened. You think this is funny? No. I think it's measurable. That word hit. Measurable. It's because his success so far had been theatrical, not measurable. A woman approached us, early 30s, sharp navy dress, intelligent eyes. Evan, she said, good to see you again. He straightened immediately. Rachel. Of course. Rachel glanced at me. And you are? Claire, I said. Nice to meet you. Founder's partner? She asked politely. There it was again. Partner. Evan answered before I could. Yes. I tilted my head slightly. Girlfriend, I corrected calmly. A tiny beat of silence. Rachel smiled politely. And are you involved in the venture? I manage financial exposure, I said evenly. Rachel's eyes sharpened just slightly. Oh, yes, I continued. For instance, ensuring private funds aren't positioned as institutional backing during investor conversations. The words were smooth, neutral, not loud, but they were precise. Evan's hand tightened around his glass. Rachel looked at him, then back at me. That's important, she said carefully. Yes, I agreed. She excused herself soon after. Evan grabbed my elbow, not aggressively, but firmly, and guided me toward a quieter corner near a column. What is wrong with you? He hissed. Nothing, I said calmly. You're implying things. I'm stating facts. You're sabotaging this. No, I replied. You're misrepresenting capital. His face flushed. You're blowing this out of proportion. I have your pitch deck, I said quietly. Slide 4. His eyes flickered. You went through my files? You emailed it to me. He exhaled sharply. That was private. So was my bank account. That landed clean. The ballroom lighting glowed warm against polished marble floors. Servers moved through the crowd, carrying trays of champagne. The soft clink of glasses punctuated conversation. It all felt expensive and fragile. I needed to look strong, Evan said through his teeth. You needed to look solvent, I corrected. He ran a hand through his hair. This is how it works. Founders front confidence. Confidence isn't fabricated liquidity. He stared at me. You could have talked to me. I did. Not like this. You didn't respond to quiet. That was true. He only heard escalation. Reflective line, steady, and final. When subtle fails, documentation speaks. He looked past me toward Daniel across the room. You have no idea what's at stake, he said. I do, I replied. My credit score. He laughed once, short and bitter. You're unbelievable. No, I said calmly. I'm traceable. That's when his phone buzzed. He glanced down. His expression shifted. Slight confusion, then tension. What? I asked softly. He didn't answer immediately. Another buzz, then another. Across the room, Daniel checked his phone too. So did Rachel. The energy changed, not dramatically, just recalibrated. Evan's jaw tightened. What did you do? He demanded quietly. I sent an email, I said. When? 8 minutes ago. To who? To clarify something. His eyes widened. You didn't. I did. Earlier, while he was ordering drinks at the bar, I'd stepped aside near the restroom corridor. Quiet. No audience. I'd opened my draft. Attached the pitch deck. Attached the merchant receipts from Blackstone. Included the line from the signature slip. Charge it. Yes, she'll be proud. And I'd written, I'm reaching out to clarify that any representation of secured private backing linked to my name is unauthorized. I have not formally committed capital, nor have I consented to public positioning as financial support for Mercer Growth Labs, for documentation purposes only. Professional. Clean, non-emotional, sent to Daniel. C, seed Rachel. B, C, seed myself. Time stamped. Evan stared at me like I'd detonated something invisible. You just destroyed my credibility, he whispered. No, I said quietly. I protected mine. Daniel began walking toward us, not rushed, not angry, measured. Rachel followed a few steps behind. Evan's breathing changed, faster, tighter. What exactly are you alleging? He asked under his breath. I'm not alleging, I replied. I'm clarifying. Daniel stopped in front of us. Evan, he said calmly, can we speak privately? Rachel stood slightly behind him, composed. Evan forced a smile. Of course. Daniel glanced at me briefly. Claire, thank you for the transparency. Of course, I replied. Transparency, another word that slices. They stepped a few feet away, close enough for me to see body language, far enough that I couldn't hear every word. Daniel held his phone up, screen facing Evan. Evan's shoulders stiffened. Rachel crossed her arms lightly, not defensive, but assessing. The jazz band kept playing. A saxophone note rose and fell. Investors continued sipping champagne. But around Evan, something collapsed. Not loudly, not publicly, internally. He gestured with his hands as he spoke. Fast, defensive. Daniel's expression stayed neutral. Rachel said something short. Evan's face flushed deeper. Then Daniel nodded once and stepped back. Rachel didn't smile. They both walked away. Not angrily, not dramatically. Just done. Evan stood there alone for a second. He didn't look at me immediately. When he did, the confidence was gone. You went nuclear, he said quietly. No, I replied. I went accurate. He laughed once, but it sounded hollow. You think this makes you powerful? I met his eyes evenly. No, I said. It makes me free. The music kept playing. The ballroom lights kept glowing. But his stage had shifted, and for the first time, he wasn't performing. He was exposed. He was exposed. Evan blinked like the room had tilted, and he was trying to stand upright anyway. His fingers tightened around his glass until his knuckles went pale. The ice inside clattered, loud enough that I heard it over the saxophone. Free, he repeated, tasting the word like it offended him. I didn't answer. I just lifted my sparkling water and took a slow sip. The lime was tart and clean. Around us, the ballroom kept moving. Suit jackets brushed past. Silk dresses slid by. Name badges scraped softly against lapels as people leaned in to talk. Texture was everywhere tonight. The slick marble underfoot. The ribbon of my badge rubbing my collarbone. The stiff cardstock of Daniel's business card in my clutch. A corner pressing into my palm like a reminder. Evan stepped closer, forcing his voice into something softer. Claire, he said, you can't do this in front of everyone. I didn't, I replied. I did it in an email. That's worse, he snapped, then caught himself. Do you want them to think I'm some kind of scammer? I want them to know what's true, I said. He scanned the room for damage control, shoulders squaring like posture could fix a story. Stay here, he said, like I was part of his setup. Then he walked toward a group near the champagne station. I let him go. I stepped to the side, near a high-top table draped in thick linen. I opened my phone and checked my sent email again. Time sent, 8:19 p.m. Attachments, 3. Recipients, 2. BCC, me. My inbox refreshed. A new reply came in from Rachel. Understood. Thank you for documenting. Please hold for further questions. Hold? Like a bank phrase. Went like a warning that what Evan called vision had just become a file. Across the ballroom, Evan kept talking, hands moving fast, smile flashing, leaning in and laughing like he could outrun policy. My phone buzzed. Bank notification. New device attempt. Online banking login. He was trying to get in. I opened my bank app. 2-factor authentication. On. New device approval. Required. I changed my password anyway. Longer this time. No pet names. No birthdays. Just letters, numbers, and the cold comfort of complexity. Security isn't paranoia when you live with someone entitled. Evan glanced down at his phone mid-sentence. His smile faltered, then returned like a switch. I moved toward the event's sign-up table labeled Founder Office Hours. A coordinator stood there with a clipboard. I'm looking for the firm's compliance contact, I said. Her eyes sharpened. Rachel handles investor relations and intake. She's here. I've already emailed her, I replied. I just want the process. She handed me a small card with an extension and an intake email. The cardstock was rough, textured like it was designed to feel real. I tucked it into my clutch beside Daniel's card. Behind me, I heard Evan's voice strain. Of course the backing is secure, he said. It's private. Private. He kept using that word like it was a shield. I turned toward the restroom corridor, away from champagne breath. The carpet was thick and plush. My heels sank slightly with each step. I stopped near a framed photo of the Chicago River and pulled the Blackstone packet from my clutch. I flipped to the line. Wife account, okayed by guest. I took another photo. Then I recorded a short voice memo, calm and clean. Langham Ballroom, Friday, 8:31 p.m., I whispered. Unauthorized backing claims, documentation filed. My phone buzzed again. An email from Daniel. Can you step outside the ballroom for 1 minute? Near the lobby bar. I walked back along the outer edge of the crowd. People's jackets brushed my sleeves. Wool, cotton, smooth synthetics. Every brush felt like a reminder this was public. Near the doors, Evan spotted me and cut in front of me, smile still on for anyone watching. "Where are you going?" he asked. "To speak with someone," I said. "With who?" "Not you." His smile cracked. "You're enjoying this," he said. "No," I replied. "I'm finishing it." He reached me near the champagne station, in grabbing my elbow with the kind of grip that pretends to be guiding. "Come on," he said through his teeth. "We need to talk." "We're talking," I replied. "Not here?" He tried to steer me toward a hallway. I planted my heels into the marble. "Let go," I said. His fingers loosened, not because he respected me, but because a woman nearby glanced over. He hated witnesses when he wasn't controlling them. Evan lowered his voice. "Do you understand what you just did to me?" "I understand what you did first," I said. He flicked his eyes to my clutch. "You brought paperwork." "I brought truth," I replied. He laughed softly, like I was being dramatic. "Truth doesn't buy runway," he said. "Momentum does. And my card was your runway," I answered. His lips parted, then closed again. He looked past me, searching for a new angle. "Okay," he said quickly. "We can fix it. We can spin it. Spin it." He said it like a relationship was a PR crisis. "Tell them you're backing me," he continued. "Officially. Sign something. Make it clean." "You want me to legalize your lie?" I said. "It's not a lie," he snapped. "It's pre-commitment." He softened again, voice turning persuasive. "Claire, if you're with me, you show it." With me meant financially. I pulled Martin's card from my clutch and held it between two fingers. "I already showed something," I said. "Consent matters." Evan's eyes locked on the card. "Who is that?" "Someone real," I replied. He swallowed, then leaned closer, voice sharp. "You think you can ruin people?" "I didn't ruin you," I said. "I removed myself from the story you wrote without me." He went still, then tried a new weapon. "You're supposed to believe in me." I held his gaze. "I believed in you," I said, "and you spent it." His pride snapped back into place. "Fine," he muttered. "Enjoy your little victory." My phone buzzed. Tessa. "Tessa, he's telling people you're unstable. Don't leave alone." Of course he was. If he couldn't control the facts, he'd attack the narrator. Across the ballroom, I noticed a ripple. People angling their bodies away from Evan's orbit. A man showed Evan something on a phone screen. Evan's smile froze. Then the group turned away. Polite, smooth, decisive. They didn't storm off. They just removed their attention. Evan spun and spotted me, alone. His face hardened. He started toward me again, weaving through people with forced apologies. He reached me and lowered his voice to something almost trembling. "You think they're going to pick you?" he said. "You think you'll get rewarded for this?" "I'm not here to be picked," I replied. "I'm here to be free." His eyes flashed. "You're not a founder," he said. "You're just support." There it was, his favorite word. "I'm not your support," I said quietly. "I'm your proof, and I'm withdrawing." He opened his mouth to respond, and Daniel's voice cut in from behind him, calm and clear. "Evan, we need to speak again." Evan's shoulders stiffened. He didn't turn right away, because he knew what a second conversation meant. Because he knew what a second conversation meant. Second conversations in rooms like this aren't social. They're corrective. Evan turned slowly. Daniel stood a few feet away, expression controlled. Rachel was beside him again, tablet in hand this time. "We need clarification," Daniel said evenly. Evan forced a small laugh. "Of course. Happy to clarify." Rachel didn't smile. "In writing," she added. That word shifted the air. "In writing." Paperwork again. The ballroom music kept playing, but the tone felt sharper now. The saxophone had been replaced by piano. Clean notes. No hiding. Daniel gestured toward a quieter corner near the event sponsor banners. "Let's step over here." Evan glanced at me, accusation burning in his eyes. "This is unbelievable," he muttered under his breath. I didn't respond, because it was believable. It was documented. They moved a few feet away. Not hidden, not dramatic, just contained. Rachel opened her tablet. "Your deck indicates secured private backing," she began. "Yes," Evan said quickly. "It's informal, but committed." Daniel's gaze didn't waver. "Committed how?" Evan's eyes flickered toward me. "Through my partner," he said. Rachel's finger paused mid-scroll. "She has stated in writing that she has not committed capital," Rachel said calmly. Evan straightened. "It's personal," he replied. "We don't formalize everything." Daniel tilted his head slightly. "When personal funds are represented as business capital in investor discussions, that requires disclosure." Disclosure. A word that carries consequences. Evan shifted his weight. "You're blowing this up," he said. "This is early stage." Rachel's tone didn't change. Early stage founders are still expected to represent financial backing accurately. The word accurately hung in the air like a judge's gavel. Evan looked at me again, eyes sharp. "You wanted to be involved," he said. "Now you are." I met his gaze evenly. I wanted honesty. Daniel spoke again. "For clarity," he said, "have you used Ms. Whitman's funds to entertain potential investors?" The question was precise. Evan hesitated. That hesitation said everything. "It's temporary," he answered finally. "We share finances." Rachel glanced at her tablet. "She has documented removal of your authorized access to her accounts as of yesterday." Silence. I watched the exact moment the narrative slipped from his control. He tried to pivot. "This is a misunderstanding between partners." Daniel's voice remained calm. "It becomes a material concern when used to influence investor perception." Material concern. That phrase could shut doors quietly. Evan's posture changed. Less expansive, more defensive. "You're acting like I committed fraud," he snapped. "No one used that word," Rachel replied, "but it floated there anyway. Fraud doesn't always look like theft. Sometimes it looks like confidence, without collateral." Daniel adjusted his watch. "We appreciate the transparency from Ms. Whitman," he said. "We'll need to pause further discussions until we review this." Pause. Not no, but not yes. And in rooms like this, pause often becomes silence. Evan's voice dropped. "You're walking away over this?" "We're walking carefully," Daniel corrected. That was worse. Careful investors don't gamble on shaky stories. Rachel turned to me briefly. "Thank you for clarifying your position," she said. "Of course," I replied. "Professional, measured, final." They stepped away. No raised voices, no spectacle. Just distance. And distance is devastating when your entire strategy depends on proximity. Evan stood still for a long moment. The piano music kept playing. The ballroom chatter resumed around us, but his orbit had shifted. People glanced, then looked away. Conversations he tried to re-enter shortened quickly. Phones were checked more often when he approached. Attention thinned. He walked back toward me, slowly. "You did this," he said. "I corrected it," I replied. His voice wasn't loud. It was thinner now. You embarrassed me. You embarrassed yourself when your card declined. He flinched. You could have waited, he said. For what? For the deal to close. With what money? I asked calmly. He ran both hands through his hair, frustration visible now. You don't understand what this takes. No, I said. You don't understand what it costs. Around us, a server passed with a tray of champagne. The scent of citrus and yeast drifted through the air. Evan grabbed a glass, downed half of it in one motion. You've always resented my ambition, he said. I've always questioned your math. He laughed bitterly. You think you're smarter than me. I think I check my balances. That landed quietly. He stared at me, searching for guilt. He didn't find it. You're going to regret this, he said again. I shook my head. No, I'm going to remember it. Reflective line, steady and clean. The moment you stop funding illusion, you see it clearly. He looked around the room one more time. 2 men he'd been talking to earlier avoided eye contact. Rachel was already speaking to someone else. Daniel had moved on. Momentum was gone. Not loudly, not dramatically, just evaporated. Evan exhaled sharply. Let's go, he muttered. I'm staying, I said. He blinked. For what? To network. That stung. You? He scoffed. Yes. Me. He shook his head. You don't belong here. I held his gaze. Neither do you, I said calmly. Not like this. That was the moral pivot. Not cruelty. Clarity. He looked at me for a long second. Then he turned and walked toward the exit. No slam. No explosion. Just retreat. I stayed. I spoke with 2 women in fintech. I exchanged cards with a compliance director. I answered questions honestly. No exaggeration. No borrowed identity. When I finally left the ballroom, the night air outside the Langham felt cooler, cleaner. The city lights reflected in the river below like steady lines of data. My phone buzzed. Bank notification. No new charges. I smiled slightly. Not because he was punished, because I was protected. Quotable line, quiet and earned. Power isn't loud, it's documented. I called an Uber. As I waited, I opened my notes app and added one more line. Investor discussions paused due to misrepresentation. Witnesses present. This wasn't revenge fueled by rage. It was correction, backed by records. And it wasn't over yet. Because collapse has an aftermath. And I was ready for it. Because collapse has an aftermath. And it doesn't show up with fireworks. It shows up with paperwork, silence, and bills. When I got home, the apartment was dark except for the little blue light on the router. The quiet felt thicker than usual, like the walls were listening. Evan's shoes weren't by the door. His jacket wasn't on the chair. The place smelled like nothing. No bourbon, no cologne. Just clean air and the faint detergent scent from the laundry I'd folded earlier. My phone buzzed as soon as I set my keys down. Evan, we need to talk. I didn't respond. Then another text. Evan, you don't understand what you just cost me. Cost. Like the money was his, not mine. I walked into the bedroom, turned on the lamp, and sat on the edge of the bed. I took my lockbox out again and placed it on the comforter like a boundary. Then I opened my laptop and pulled up my credit report. Not because I was panicking, because I was serious. One hard inquiry from last month caught my eye. Inquiry, Mercer Growth Labs, business credit application. My stomach tightened. He'd tried to apply for credit in the business name, with my information attached. I clicked into the details. It didn't show everything, but it showed enough to confirm the direction. He wasn't just using my card at bars. He was trying to build his entire foundation on my identity. I exhaled once, slow. Then I did what any adult in the US does when a line is crossed. I froze my credit. All 3 bureaus, a few clicks, a PIN, a confirmation number. Then I took screenshots of the inquiry and saved them to my documentation folder. When you're dealing with someone like Evan, you don't rely on memory, and you rely on timestamps. At 1:12 a.m., the front door opened. He walked in quietly, but his energy was loud. His shoulders were tense. His cheeks were flushed like he'd been drinking again, but his eyes were sharp. He stopped in the doorway when he saw the lockbox on the bed. "What is that?" he asked. "Mine," I replied. He stepped closer. "So this is what you're doing? You're treating me like a criminal?" "I'm treating you like a risk," I said calmly. He laughed, bitter. "A risk. Wow." He tossed his phone onto the dresser. It hit with a dull thud. "You humiliated me," he said. "No," I replied. "You humiliated yourself." He walked closer, looming slightly. "You sent them my deck." "I sent them facts. You made me look like a liar. You made yourself look like a liar when you wrote wife account on the receipt." His jaw tightened. His breathing got faster. "You could have talked to me first." "I did. In my kitchen. In my home. With receipts in my hand." He shook his head like I was unreasonable. "You didn't have to do it like that." "Like what?" I asked. "Accurate?" He stared at me. And then his face shifted into something colder. "You did it because you want control," he said. Control. That word again flipped like a knife. "I did it because you took it," I replied. He paced, anger contained, but pulsing. "You're jealous," he snapped. I blinked slowly. "Jealous of what, Evan?" "My potential," he said. "You hate that I'm not stuck in a cubicle like you." That one was designed to hurt, and it would have, months ago. But tonight, it sounded childish. "I like my cubicle," I said evenly. "It pays for my life." He scoffed. "You act like you're self-made." "I don't pretend," I replied. "That's the difference." He stopped pacing and faced me fully. "So what now?" he demanded. "You're going to call the cops?" "No." "Then what?" I held up my laptop screen and turned it slightly so he could see the credit inquiry. "What is that?" I asked. He froze. His eyes flickered. His mouth opened, then closed. "It's nothing," he said too quickly. "It's a business credit application," I replied, "under your fake company name." "It's not fake." "There's no active LLC," I said. "I checked Illinois registrations." He swallowed. "It was just exploring options, with my identity attached." He stepped closer again, voice rising slightly. "We live together. We share things." "No," I said calmly. "We share a lease. That's it." He glared. "You're being dramatic." "I'm being factual." His face twisted. "You're acting like I stole from you." I stared at him for a beat. "You did." That landed like a door closing. His eyes flashed. "I was going to pay you back," he snapped, "once the deal closed." "What deal?" I asked quietly. He didn't answer, because he couldn't. The investors had paused. The momentum evaporated. The room had moved on, and he had nothing left but blame. He pointed at me. "You ruined everything." I tilted my head slightly. "No," I said. "You built everything on me and forgot to ask permission." He took a step back like that sentence hit his chest. Then he tried a different tactic, hurt. "You promised you'd support me," he said, voice softer now. I exhaled. "I supported you," I replied. "I fed you. I housed you. I covered you. I listened to your speeches." He looked at me like he expected sympathy. I didn't give it. Then he snapped again, fast. You betrayed me. That word came out sharp. Betrayed? Like he was the victim. He stepped closer, eyes intense. You betrayed me in front of them. I met his stare and spoke slowly, clearly. You built your success on my credit score. The sentence was clean. It didn't tremble. It didn't beg. It just sat there like a record. He flinched, then scoffed. That's not fair. It's exact, I said. He looked away for a second, jaw working. Then he turned back, voice low. So you're just going to kick me out? I'm going to remove you, I said, from my accounts, from my name, from my future. He laughed once, bitter again. You think you're better than me? No, I replied. I think I'm done. I stood up, walked to the closet, then pulled out a folder. Inside were printed copies of the lease and the county court record line we'd signed under. I placed it on the bed between us like a mediator. Our lease has procedures, I said calmly. We're going to follow them. He glanced down at the paperwork. His face tightened. You're really doing this? Yes? He took a step forward, then stopped, because he saw I wasn't emotional. I was administrative. I opened my phone and pulled up the property manager's email. I'm notifying the leasing office in the morning, I said, about removing you from the unit. You can't, he snapped. I can, I replied, and if you want to contest it, you can do it through the proper channels. Proper channels. Again, words that kill performance. He stared at me like he didn't recognize me. He wanted the old version, the one who smoothed things over, the one who paid quietly. She was gone. Evan's voice dropped. You're going to regret this, he whispered. I shook my head. I'm going to recover from it, I replied. Then I walked to the kitchen, opened the banking portal again, and confirmed the last removal, his access to my credit card payment account. One more click, confirm. A small box popped up. User removed successfully. He stood behind me, silent now. And for the first time in months, I could feel the weight lifting. Not because I'd won, because I'd stopped losing. The next morning, sunlight cut through the blinds in thin stripes. It laid lines across my kitchen floor like a barcode. Something scannable. Something that tells the truth. Evan was on the couch when I walked out, shoes still on. He'd slept in his blazer like a man pretending he still had somewhere to be. He looked up at me, eyes puffy, jaw set. You're really going to do this? He said. I already did, I replied, and set my laptop on the counter. My email to the leasing office was drafted and waiting. Subject line, change of occupant, lease amendment request. I added one sentence, clean and factual, and attached the lease agreement. Then I hit send. A small swoosh sound. Digital consequences. Evan watched the screen like it was a courtroom. You can't just erase me, he said. I'm not erasing you, I answered. I'm separating. He scoffed, but it didn't have teeth anymore. Where am I supposed to go? That's not my problem, I said softly. Not cruel. Accurate. He stood up, pacing, hands tugging at his hair. You're acting like I'm a stranger. You made me a stranger, I replied. You introduced me as someone I'm not. He froze for a beat, then his phone buzzed on the coffee table. He snatched it up like it could save him. His shoulders tightened as he read. What? I asked, already knowing. He swallowed. They want a follow-up call, he said. With who? With Daniel. His eyes flicked toward me. Without you, he added. Of course, they weren't calling to invest. They were calling to document. Evan's voice sharpened, desperate. I can fix this, he said. If you just tell them it was a misunderstanding, if you tell them you were emotional, that's what men call women when facts bruise their ego. I won't, I said. He stepped closer, lowering his voice. Claire, don't do this. We can reset. I'll get a job. I'll pay you back. You said that last month, I replied. And the month before that, I added. He flinched. People struggle. He snapped. Yes, I said, but struggling isn't the same as stealing. His face flushed. I didn't steal, he argued. We were building. You built a costume, I corrected, and I was the hanger. He stared at me like he wanted to find the old version of me in my eyes. He didn't. So he shifted again, voice turning sharp. You're going to end up alone. I nodded once. Maybe, I said, but I won't be leveraged. That was the difference. He walked back to the couch and sat, shoulders slumped. For the first time, he looked like what he'd been hiding. A man with no runway. I picked up my phone and called my bank. Hi, I said. I need a letter confirming my dispute case and unauthorized use documentation. The agent's keyboard clicks sounded crisp, efficient, unemotional. I can send you a verification letter, she said. It will include the case number and timeline. Yes, I replied, and I need it notarized, if possible. We can provide a notarized affidavit form for you to sign, she said. Perfect. Evan's head lifted. What are you doing? Closing doors, I said. He stared like he couldn't understand a woman choosing procedure over chaos. Are you seriously going to make this legal? He asked. It already is, I replied. You made it that way when you put my name on your tab. His mouth opened, then shut. Because arguing with reality is exhausting. That afternoon, I met with a notary public at a UPS store near my office. Fluorescent lights, the smell of cardboard and printer toner. A line of people shipping packages like nothing in the world was falling apart. The notary slid the paper across the counter. Please sign here, she said. I signed. I watched my own name form in ink. Then she stamped it, sharp, official. The stamp wasn't revenge. It was protection. Outside, the wind pushed my hair across my face. I tucked it behind my ear and felt lighter than I had in months. 2 days later, Evan moved out. Not dramatically. Not with yelling. He packed in silence, sweatpants and anger, lifting boxes like they were beneath him. And I stood by the door with a checklist on my phone. Kitchen items, removed. Bedroom items, removed. Spare key, returned. He tried one last time as he carried his final bag. You're going to miss me, he said. I looked at him, calm. I'm going to miss who you pretended to be, I replied. Not who you are. That one drained the color from his face. He walked out and didn't look back. The apartment felt quieter after, but not empty. Just mine. A week passed, then another. On Saturday, I went to my usual salon in Lakeview. The place smelled like shampoo and hot tools, coconut and heat. My stylist, Jenna, ran her fingers through my hair and said, You look rested. I am, I told her. The woman in the next chair laughed and said, Must be nice. I didn't explain the cost of getting here. I just let the blow dryer roar and swallow the old story. Jenna leaned in, voice low like we were trading secrets. Did he ever pay you back? She asked. Some, I said. But I'm not chasing him for it. Good, she replied. Men like that don't learn from mercy. I watched my reflection while she curled the ends. My face looked the same, but my eyes didn't. They looked like someone who reads fine print now. That night, my parents hosted a small cookout in the suburbs. Paper plates, burgers, kids running with sparklers in the driveway. My aunt asked where Evan was. Not in my life anymore, I said simply. No lecture, no long explanation. Just a boundary, served like a sentence. My cousin pulled me aside near the cooler. You okay? She asked. I'm rebuilding, I said. She nodded like she understood that rebuilding can be quiet. The next Monday, I filed my LLC paperwork online and printed the confirmation page. I stapled it to my notarized affidavit and slid it into my lockbox. Consequence seal. My name, my entity, my rules. My life settled into routines that didn't include managing someone else's narrative. I started saying no faster. I started sleeping deeper. One Tuesday afternoon, an email came into my work inbox from Daniel Foster. Subject, quick call, compliance and operations. My stomach tightened for a second. Then it relaxed, because this time I wasn't scared. I answered. Claire, Daniel said, thanks for making time. Of course, I replied. I'll be direct, he said. We reviewed everything. Your documentation was thorough. Thank you, I said. He paused. You handled it with more discipline than most founders I meet, he added, and I looked out my office window at the street below. People crossing at the light. A delivery guy balancing a stack of boxes. Ordinary life moving. I work with numbers, I said. Numbers don't reward drama. Daniel gave a small laugh. We're building an internal advisory list for early-stage governance, he said. People who can help founders not step on landmines. Landmines. I thought of Evan's handwriting. Charge it. She'll be proud. What would that look like? I asked. Paid consulting, Daniel said. Hourly. Clear scope. And full control on your end. Control? A different kind than Evan accused me of. This one was healthy. I'm interested, I said. Great, Daniel replied. I'll send a contract. No pressure. Review it with counsel if you want. A contract. The opposite of verbal. After we hung up, I sat still for a moment. Reflective line, quiet, and true. Sometimes the same room that tried to use you ends up respecting you. I didn't post about it. I didn't sub-tweet. I didn't announce a glow-up. I just worked. I opened a business account with my bank. I ordered business cards, simple white, black text, no fantasy titles. Claire Whitman, Financial Risk and Governance. No managing partner, no building legacy, just what I do. A month later, on a Thursday evening, I went back downtown, not because I missed the skyline, because I wanted to reclaim it. The city was warm and alive, streetlights turning the sidewalks into long ribbons of shadow. Shadows stretched behind people like proof they were real. I walked into Blackstone Rooftop Lounge with my head high and my shoulders relaxed. The host looked up. Reservation? She asked. No, I said. Just one. She glanced at my face, then nodded and waved me through. The elevator ride up was smooth, silent. When the doors opened, the rooftop air hit me, cooler than the street, carrying a mix of gin, charcoal heat, and the river's metallic scent. The skyline was still gorgeous, but it didn't feel like it belonged to Evan anymore. It felt like it belonged to whoever could stand in it, honestly. I sat at the bar. The bartender, same one as before, recognized me. He gave a small, careful smile. Hey, he said, you okay? I'm better, I replied. He nodded like he understood that better had paperwork behind it. What can I get you? He asked. A bourbon, I said, and a glass of water. He raised an eyebrow. Celebrating? Reclaiming, I answered. He poured the bourbon, the amber catching the light like something earned. As I sipped, my phone buzzed with an email notification. Subject, signed agreement, advisory services. Daniel's contract. Signed on their end. My rate accepted without negotiation. I stared at the screen for a second, then locked it. I didn't need to show anyone. I just needed to know. The bartender set a small plate of citrus peels and cherries beside my glass. "On the house," he said quietly. I smiled. "Thank you," I replied. A couple 2 stools down laughed about a pitch meeting. A group near the rail took photos. The wind tugged at my hair. Normal Thursday night energy, but my body felt calm inside it. When I finished my drink, the bartender slid the check toward me. No hesitation, no side comments, no wife account. Just a clean receipt. I placed my card on it. My card, my name, my control. He ran it and returned. "Need a copy?" he asked. "Yes," I said. "Please." He handed it to me. My name printed clearly at the top. I looked at it and felt something settle. Quotable line, simple and final. He wanted to look powerful. I became powerful. I signed and added a tip that made the bartender pause. He looked up. "You sure?" "Yes," I said. "I'm sure." Because generosity hits different when it's yours to give. I stood, walked to the railing, and looked out at Chicago. The river moved below like a dark ribbon. Streetlights stitched gold across the water, and the skyline held steady. Bright, indifferent, beautiful. Evan had used my name like a ladder. Now my name was a foundation. If you liked this story, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share your thoughts in the comments.